All right, everybody, welcome back. We've got another edge player to look at here, another third round value guy, approximately. And this guy, right off the bat, let's just say it. If we get him, if the Seahawks get him for Mike McDonald's defense, he's not an edge. He could be an edge in like a 4-3 defense as a 5 tech, but Brandon Dorlus is clearly going to play 4-eye defensive end in a 3-4. He's too big. And quite honestly, he might not even be all that great at that, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's talk through Brandon Dorlus as a prospect. Oregon Duck, 23 years old when the season starts, 6'3", 283 pounds, so he's much bigger than a typical edge, which is why I said what I said. 33 and a quarter arms, 9 and 3/8 hands. His testing is really, really good for a down lineman. If you look at him as a defensive tackle or, an interior defensive lineman just in general, his testing is great. 93rd percentile 40, 83rd percentile 10-yard split. Vert was good. Broad was really good. 3 cones really good. His 20-yard shuttle was really bad, but overall, great athlete for that. But if you look at him through the lens of an edge, it's pretty lacking. Big boards, mostly third round. That's where he is in the aggregate. Good production the last 2 years, but not great. He was actually in some ways better in 2022. He didn't make a big stride forward in 2023. His tackles and tackles for loss both fell back significantly, but he doubled his sack production. 9 passes defensed in one season for a defensive front guy, by the way, really good. So what we can say about Dorlus is he's bringing a unique ability to bat down passes to the table. 9 in 1 year is kind of crazy. So Brandon Dorlus, when he was at Oregon, he played all kinds of different roles. He was all over the place on that front. He was playing some 0 tech, some 1 tech, 3 tech, 4-eye type stuff, 5 tech type stuff, edge rusher. He was everywhere, man. And not all of that's going to translate to the NFL, but some of it should. So he's a guy with a lot of experience doing a lot of different things. He's got some legitimate pass rush moves that he can pull out. He's not just a bull rusher, not just a speed rusher. No, he can give you the up over. He can give you the cross chop. He can give you the swim. So he's coming into the NFL with pass rush moves. He's got an impressive first step for a man his size. Like, you wouldn't look at him and expect him to be quick around the edge, but he really can be, and that's something that helped him in college football a pretty good amount. His lateral agility is also good for a 283-pound man, so that movement skill's nice. And he even has bend. It's not great bend. I'm not going to say it's going to work in the NFL, but he's got bend. He's got more bend than some guys who are like 35 pounds lighter than him. So he is a little bit of a physical anomaly. And if you got him, I think that there is a scenario where he could provide some snaps on the edge. Kind of like Draymond Jones did last year, but hopefully on a much smaller scale. But that's kind of the thing with Dorlus as well that also really works against him. I still don't think he's good enough to make it as an edge player in the NFL. Like, these are still lackluster scores for a guy who's going to be playing on the outside. And I just don't know if he's going to be able to cut it. Like, in college, it's kind of you can get away with it a little bit more, but in the NFL, it's very rare you see an edge player that, unless it's a 5 tech, getting away with this. So in a 3-4 defense, probably not. And he's not that strong. He doesn't have the strength to hold up in the trenches. So I'm trying to figure this out, right? I'm like, okay, he doesn't have the athleticism or the leanness to play on the edge, but he also needs to pack on some muscle if he wants to be able to hold up in the run. Like, when you get a hat on a hat with him, it's tough for him to do much. He just gets pushed around. So what's this guy going to do? I think it's pretty obvious that he needs to add some muscle and become a down lineman full time, maybe go up to like 290 and obviously lose a little bit of his athleticism, but it'll still be good and it'll give him the strength to hold up in the trenches. But as of right now, he's kind of a man without a position. So I don't know how this works at the NFL level. As of right now, he feels a little positionless to me. So I'm going to have to shade away from this one a little bit. I think he's worth trying to figure out, but I wouldn't take him until day 3. I would hold off until you get to the fourth round. And in Seattle, especially, because you'd be moving him to 4i, and that's just going to take a significant change in the way that he plays. So, Dorlus, I think his best bet is to become a 5-tech somewhere where he can use his bend and athleticism a little bit better and doesn't have to radically change the way he plays. But here, I'm not feeling it. Okay, so that was our second to last third round guy. We've got one more guy here who's currently a third round projection, and every big board he is on actually has him in the third. It's Austin Booker of Kansas. So couldn't find his age. 6'4.5", 240 pounds, so he's very lean. 240 is actually really pushing it as an edge player. So he's definitely probably going to fit better in a 3-4 where he doesn't have to play in the directly in the trenches and put his hand in the dirt all the time. 33 and 7/8 arms, 9 1/4 hands, so the measurements are pretty decent. The testing was forgettable, 40 time average. The broad was pretty good, but the 10-yard split and the vert were disappointing, so just kind of an average edge athlete, which is a problem when you're only 240, right? If you're going to be 240, you should be quick, you should be fast, you should be explosive, but he wasn't really any of these things, so we're not off to a great start with Austin Booker. Again, all the big boards put him in the third. He only has 1 year of real production at Kansas. Last year was good. 12 tackles for loss, 8 sacks, 82.2 grade, 56 tackles, so he was productive, but it's not anything over the top, right? So he uses his arms well. He uses his long arms well. This is a pretty long-armed prospect for a guy you could get in the late third or even early fourth. His first step is quick, and it's hard to stay in front of on the football field. You can see him on tape frequently getting the jump on offensive linemen, just getting the corner by being able to be faster than them. It didn't show up in the testing, though, so more on that in a second. He showed the ability to handle zone drops in college. He was able to drop back into coverage, into like the flats or into a little bubble right above him, or right behind where he starts the play. So he's able to do some of the 3-4 outside linebacker stuff that you need. He's got good closing speed, even though his overall speed isn't very good. His ability to like chase down a play from the backside is notable. And he's also able to play multiple roles in a defense. He's another guy who lined up everywhere for Kansas. It's not all going to translate to the NFL, but if you got him in this defense, I do think that you'd be able to find some flexible uses for him, like maybe even bumping him inside to a stack linebacker every now and then, or maybe also if you were running like a 4-3, he'd also probably be able to play a little bit of the Sam linebacker and the Leo. So there's a little bit of flexibility here. The testing numbers kind of knocked me for a loop. I didn't expect him to be this disappointing in his testing. He's undersized and doesn't have a lot of strength. Like, you look at a guy who's 6'4.5", 240, you're expecting kind of a leaner guy who doesn't have a lot of strength. And yeah, that's how he plays. He doesn't really have a lot of muscle. He loses the leverage battle a lot. He is a little bit taller than you like, and he plays standing straight up. So he's a guy who is going to have to learn how to sink the hips if he's going to get there. And he doesn't have bend, which that hurts, right? Like, this is a smaller guy. This is a guy who, in theory, depends on his first step to win. So that bend is a part of that. That combination of first step and bend is everything in this game. And he has the first part, but he doesn't have the second part. And he's so light, he really needs both those parts. So we're definitely seeing a bit of a problem here. So I don't know what to think of Booker really right now. The testing numbers have given me pause because they indicate maybe his first step isn't even that great at the NFL level and it won't hold up. He needs to add some muscle. He needs to bulk up a little bit, and he has the frame to do it, but I'm not believing that he's going to be able to hold up in the NFL at this weight, with this frame, with this lean, lanky frame. So, fourth round, and it's a tentative fourth rounder for me. I might even go fifth on him. I'm not really getting what the league is putting down on Austin Booker personally. To me, if you're going to be this lean as an edge rusher, you better bring those special edge rusher traits, and he doesn't. He's got a good first step that might not look so good in the NFL. He's got a little bit of flexibility and versatility, and he's got long arms, but Where's my bend? I need the bend, and I need better scores than this. So I know you can have that first step impact in the NFL. But that is a wrap on the day 2 guys at this point. That's 8 guys who are currently projected to go somewhere in the second day. And at this point, all we have left are the day 3 guys. So later today, we're going to open up the book on that crop, and then we're going to wrap it up tomorrow with those guys. So the edge crop, we're about halfway done. We've gotten the more interesting half out of the way, but there are still guys in day 3 that are worth looking at, and it's very possible the Seahawks decide to make day 3 the area where they actually look for another edge player. So let me know what you guys think about Booker. Let me know what you guys think about Dorlus. Again, Dorlus not really an edge player for us, but he would be for somebody. And again, the important part is we evaluate as many players as possible. If we occasionally fudge the positions a little bit to suit our needs, then so be it. All right. See you guys later. Go Hawks. More videos coming later today. Let me know what you think.